an icon of American horror, born in Eastern Europe. He had matinee idol good looks, yet was perfectly suited to play monsters and madmen. He was the king of screen horror, who passed away nearly forgotten by the film industry. Here are 10 facts geeks must know about Bela Lugosi. Number 1. Bela Lugosi wasn't Bela Lugosi. He was born Bela Ferenc Dejko Blaško in Lugoj, Romania on October 20th, 1882. He would later take the name Lugosi in 1903 from his hometown of Lugoj. He would later also use the name Aristide Olt when appearing in Hungarian silent films. Number 2. Bela at war. Bela Lugosi fought in the 43rd Royal Hungarian Infantry Regiment in World War I as a ski patrolman from 1914 to 1916. He rose to the rank of lieutenant and was awarded the Wound Medal, the Hungarian equivalent of the Purple Heart, for wounds he received fighting the Russians on the Eastern Front. Number 3. Bela, the Executioner. Bela Lugosi rarely spoke about his military service, but in one interview he said he served as a hangman for the Austro-Hungarian army, an experience which, according to Lugosi, left him both thrilled and with a sense of guilt. Number 4. Bela, on stage and screen. After his service in 1916, Lugosi continued his stage acting career with the National Theatre of Hungary, performing in Shakespearean plays as well as a number of dramas and comedies. He even played the role of Jesus in The Passion Play in 1916. He then went on to appear in Hungarian silent films under the name Aristide Olt. Number 5. Bela, the political refugee. Lugosi was an active supporter of the Actors' Union and a vocal political leftist, which caused him to flee Hungary in 1919 when the Hungarian Soviet Republic was overthrown. He and his first wife, Leona, the first of 5, I should add, fled to Vienna, then on to Berlin, where Lugosi began appearing in German silent films. In 1920, after Leona left him, Lugosi made his way to New Orleans on a merchant ship where he worked as a crewman, then made his way to New York in 1921, where he began his American acting career on stage and film. Before we continue, I'd like to invite you to check out the other shows available on Lord Blood-Rah's YouTube channel, like Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Theater, which presents the best, worst, and wildest horror, sci-fi, cult films, and B-movies ever made. New episodes drop every Friday. Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Auditorium, which features classic, chilling episodes of old-time radio horror, perfect for listening to on dark nights, presented here with full animation. New episodes every Saturday. And Captain Paxar's Star Cadet Hour, the kind of show kids used to run home from school to see. Captain Paxar presents retro sci-fi adventures and movie serials from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. New episodes every Saturday. And there's much more to see. Have a look around. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a video. Thank you. Number 6. Bela becomes Dracula. In 1927, Bela Lugosi would take on the role that would change his life forever. The role of Count Dracula in the Broadway production of Dracula. Adapted from the famous 1897 Bram Stoker novel by Hamilton Dean and John L. Balderston, Dracula ran for 261 performances in New York, before going on a critically acclaimed national tour throughout 1928 and 1929. Number 7. Bela fights for Dracula. When Universal Studios announced they were launching a film adaptation of Dracula, Bela Lugosi was not among the contenders for the lead role, in spite of his success on the stage. The first actor considered was the reigning king of the unusual and the uncanny, Lon Chaney Sr., the man of 1,000 faces. but Lon Chaney passed away in August of 1930, before production began. Other actors considered were Conrad Veidt, who starred in the influential German expressionist horror film The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and an up-and-coming young actor, Paul Muni, who, the year after Dracula's release, would star in 1932's Scarface. Lugosi campaigned hard for the film role, finally convincing the studio to star him in the film. Besides his association and experience in the role, he may have secured the part by undercutting the other actors, receiving only $500 a week for his 7 weeks of work on the film, a low figure for the day. Number 8. Bela, the new Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney Sr. was the major horror star of the day, having starred in 1923's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1925's Phantom of the Opera, and the lost vampire mystery London After Midnight from 1927, among other mysterious characters. When Lugosi scored a hit with 1931's Dracula, a role that would have gone to Chaney had he not passed away before production began, Universal Studios believed they had found their new great horror star. On the strength of Dracula, Universal started production on their next horror film, based on Mary Shelley's literary classic, Frankenstein. Lugosi was offered the film, playing the monster, not, as Lugosi expected, Dr. Frankenstein. He did do some makeup tests for the monster, but ultimately turned down the role. Some say because he felt the role beneath him, but in fairness, the script Lugosi read was not the final shooting script, and lacked all the humanity and pathos invested in the monster in the final version, making the character far less interesting. The role went to then character actor Boris Karloff, and the film scored an even greater success than Dracula. Lugosi did go on to play the monster in 1943's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Had Lugosi taken the role of the monster in Frankenstein, his career as Universal's horror star might have been assured, saving him many difficulties down the road. Number 9. Bela, Forever Dracula. Bela Lugosi's magnetic presence as Dracula in the 1931 film forever typecast him as the Transylvanian king of the vampires, in spite of the fact that he only played the role on film twice, in the 1931 original and in the 1948 horror comedy Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. In fact, he only played vampires in a total of 5 films, the 2 mentioned, 1935's Mark of the Vampire, 1943's The Return of the Vampire, and the 1952 British horror spoof Vampire Over London. He played mad scientists far more often, in a dozen films in fact. He struggled throughout his career to overcome the typecasting, scoring notable successes as Igor, a character far from the suave aristocratic Dracula in Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein, and as Dr. Vitos Vertigast, the tortured war survivor out for revenge in the classic The Black Cat from 1934. Number 10. Bela Lugosi died too soon. Bela Lugosi passed away August 16, 1956 of a heart attack, a year after being the first celebrity to seek treatment for drug addiction. He became addicted to morphine, methadone, and Demerol due to the leg pains he suffered due to his injuries in World War I. At the time of his death, Lugosi's career and financial situation were in dire straits. But had he lived just a couple of years longer, that all might have changed. In 1957, Screen Gems released the Shock Theater film package to television. Shock Theater brought the Universal classic horror films to TV for the first time, exposing some of Bela Lugosi's best-known performances to a whole new generation, beginning the tradition of late-night horror hosts and kicking off Monster Kid fandom, which would lead to the publication of the seminal magazine Famous Monsters of Filmland and the TV hits The Munsters and The Addams Family. In the late 1950s and 1960s, monsters and horror films were highly popular, and that popularity might have revitalized Bela Lugosi's flagging career, but we'll never know. Today, Bela Lugosi is royalty among horror fans and lovers of classic films. His contribution to the genre cannot be overstated, and he will always be remembered, for better or worse, as the silver screen's Dracula. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. What are your favorite Bela Lugosi performances in films? Leave your answers in the comments below.